And they think the energy source that makes your laptop and your car and modern life possible and your hospital possible is just a tiny little detail like the color of the iPhone. So just like we can change the color of the iPhone by just passing a law, we can also pass a law that forces capitalists and producers all over the world to stop making their laptops and cars and sophisticated equipment out of fossil fuels and to make it out of, I don't know, wooden twigs and sunlight and wind and something or the other. I think there is that idea. But I think, yes, those people exist. Where I think fiat is at fault is insane people exist at all times and at all places. Why are these insane ideas so influential? I think the reason for that is, I mean, on one hand, it's a bit of a too benign of an explanation, but the reality is, any person in academia who goes up and says fossil fuels are bad gets funded. Any person who is not insane and who says, hey, by the way, we can't have any of the nice things that we have without fossil fuels, and our life expectancy would drop to 30 without fossil fuels, and all of the modern amazing improvements that we have had in our lives came from fossil fuels. If you say that, there's no way that you're going to be published in any academic journal today. So that's what has, in my mind, been the wind in the sail of these insane people. And I think the same thing applies for, there's religious cults in the US that believe that eating meat is bad. And it's like the Seventh-day Adventists. They had this woman, Leanna Cooper, I think her name was, in the late 19th century. And she saw visions where, again, Earth is the Garden of Eden, and the only thing preventing us from enjoying the Garden of Eden is that we're eating meat, and that we should all become vegans in order to save the planet and in order to save ourselves. Crazy people believe all kinds of crazy things at all times. But why is this becoming government policy? Why do the Seventh-day Adventists become so influential? Because it fits in with the message that the government needed to communicate in the 1970s, which is meat is bad for you. Eat our industrial waste instead, because the industrial waste is cheaper. This is really, I think, this is why what should really be just the weird, insane people that are on the sidewalk going around saying the end is near, give up your electronics, give up your machines, go back to primitiveness. The reason these people are not just weirdos on the sidewalk, and instead they're at universities with tenure and they're in control of mainstream media and they're out there haranguing us for daring point out the obvious, that none of their own lives and their own work would be possible without fossil fuels, is because inflation, in my mind. The more I think about it, the more convinced of it I am. I think it's, government at the end of the day determines, it's government funding that determines what passes for science and what doesn't. And so that's what determines who gets to be a university professor, who gets to be an expert, who gets to be quoted by the New York Times and CNN. And that's an enormously influential avenue of shaping public opinion.